Drones wearing Christmas ornaments helped kill or wound 200 North Korean troops in Kursk. According to the latest official estimate from Andriy Kovalenko, head of the Center for Countering Disinformation in Kyiv, the North Korean 11th Army Corps lost around 200 troops killed and wounded in a series of assaults targeting Ukrainian positions in western Russia's Kursk Oblast last weekend. At least some of those casualties were caused by explosive drones. Videos of the festive drone strikes conducted by the Ukrainian 8th Special Purpose Regiment deployed to the southwestern edge of the 250-square-mile salient the Ukrainians carved out of Kursk back in August appeared online on Tuesday. The Ukrainian drone operators' dark humor belies the deadly seriousness of their task. North Korean manpower significantly stiffened Russian assaults in Kursk, allowing the combined Russian-North Korean force to recapture the village of Plekov on the eastern edge of the salient after 3 costly infantry attacks last weekend. Altogether, the Russians and North Koreans have around 60,000 troops in and around Kursk. The Ukrainians have just 20,000. But attacking across open ground is always more dangerous than defending from dug-in positions. So the manpower imbalance only confers a slight advantage to the Russians and North Koreans. And that advantage could erode quickly if Russian and North Korean commanders don't adapt to Ukrainian methods. The initial assaults over the weekend involved dismounted infantry walking in neat lines across snowy fields without much apparent support from artillery or aircraft. The darkly camouflaged North Koreans stood out against the white snow, making them easy targets for Ukrainian FPV drones and cluster shells. It's cold comfort to the North Korean survivors that they at least didn't march into battle under the false impression that standing still can hide you from a nearby drone operator's unblinking gaze. Like savanna prey blending into the surrounding grass to escape a lion, the North Koreans have been observed diving out of the way of attacking drones, not always successfully. While some Russian trainees practice dodging incoming FPVs, sometimes with the help of a bizarre drone-on-a-rope training aid, others clearly have been instructed to freeze in place when they see or hear a drone approaching. There is ample evidence of Russian soldiers trying this tactic, and an equal amount of evidence it doesn't work. Drones as cameras are that good, and their operators are that skilled. Dodging may have saved a few North Koreans last weekend, but the 11th Army Corps' overall casualties were still startling high. It's apparent Russian commanders are eager to obscure the scale of the losses. Despite Russian attempts to hide North Korean failures through quick evacuation, videos of strikes on North Korean soldiers, their failures and their corpses are already in the public domain, Kovalenko stated. Previously, a 4-square-mile patch of Kursk Oblast in western Russia is a graveyard for Russian vehicles, and a harbinger of a looming catastrophe for the Kremlin as its year-long offensive in Ukraine begins to falter. Kriegsforscher, a Ukrainian Marine Corps drone operator supporting the 20,000-strong Ukrainian force that has held a 20 by 12-mile salient in Kursk since August. Tallied around 90 wrecked and abandoned Russian vehicles just in his 2 by 2-mile sector on the northwest edge of the salient. That's an entire brigade's worth of vehicles. Ukrainian losses in the same sector have been much lighter, just 20 or so. A 4-to-1 loss ratio in favor of Ukraine isn't unusual. In fact, it's only slightly higher than the overall 3-to-1 loss ratio for the whole 34-month wider war on Ukraine. 14,500 destroyed Russian vehicles against 5,200 destroyed Ukrainian vehicles. What's notable and ominous for the regime of Russian President Vladimir Putin is when and where the Russian armed forces lost all those vehicles. They're what the Russians have left behind in 2 waves of unsuccessful attacks on the Ukrainian salient in Kursk over a period of 6 weeks, starting in early November. A year after Ukraine's summer 2023 counteroffensive ground to a halt and Russia launched its own new offensive, Kursk has arguably become the locus of the fighting, although, to be clear, fierce battles continue to rage in and around Chasiv Yar, Toretsk, Vovchansk, Kurakhove, Vuhledar, and other cities and towns in eastern Ukraine. Putin has given his forces until February to eliminate the Ukrainian salient in Kursk, and for good reason. The Russian regime anticipates the January 20 inauguration of U.S. President-elect Donald Trump will mark a new and volatile era in U.S. relations with Ukraine. When Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky reasserted Ukraine's independence in a social media post on November 16, billionaire Elon Musk, who spent $250 million boosting Trump's campaign, mocked Zelensky for having an amazing,